How you going, guys? Steve here from Langshore Power. Just doing a quick video on using solar racking. Typically you'll get a kit with a bunch of bits and pieces. A lot of it you'll discard. You're probably not going to want screws that long, so they can go in the bin. There'll be a packet of earth washers. They can go in the bin, not required. These little solar clips, you can use those to clip the cable onto the frames of the solar panels, so they're worth hanging on to. There will be, you'll probably get one or two of these. They're called a splice. So if you happen to have a job where you've got to join a piece of rail, this is how they'll work. Let me see if I can, sorry, I'm in the sun here, so probably not ideal videoing location. So you butt that up, get your splice about halfway along between the two rails, and then button up those two Allen key head screws there, get them nice and tight. You're going to want to put your feet on, and I aim for about 700 millimeters apart for the feet. So they will be, and then you've got a little bit of up down adjustment, as you can see. So depending on if your roof is flat or if you're a couple of millimeters up or down or something. So try and get those guys about 700 millimeters apart, and then once you've got all the rail cut to length for however many panels you're going to fit, you've got your feet spaced 700 apart. I normally start about 150 in from the leading edge, and same from the back edge, about 100, 150 mil in, and then space out minimum of 700 apart for the feet. Once you've got the feet on the rail, get the rail up on the roof and then screw down into the roof through that spot there. Probably about a 40 mil, 35 mil roofing screw into that, or if you've got a ceiling that's exposed, nut and bolt would be ideal. So that's how you'll lay the rail out and the feet. Let's go over here. I've got a panel over here just with a couple of rails laying on the floor. I want to show you how the clamps work. So we've got a couple of different clamps. One is this guy here. That's what we call a mid clamp. That's going to go between two panels. And then we've got this guy here, which is called an end clamp. In fact, I've grabbed the wrong one. Here it is, an end clamp. Now, if you look at this one, this is actually made for two different sizes of solar panel, 30 mil or 35 mil, depending on the frame. So you may need to shift that bolt through to the other hole to give you a clamp for a 35 mil panel rather than a 30 mil. Okay, so let's go over here. Now, these are Jinko panels. They've got a 30 mil frame. So let's say our very first panel, whoop, sorry, covering the camera there, that's no good. What we're going to do, you want about, I would suggest probably, let me get that on there. That little captive nut slides in to the rail, and then you slide it up. Let me see if I can get a good angle. Now, do you see that there is like a 5 mil gap there? So this clamp is set for 35 mil. So what I need to do, this will be tricky because I don't have three hands. We're going to undo that nut, and then we're going to swap the bolt to the other hole. Get the nut back on. Sorry about the videoing work. Okay, so I've swapped that around. We're going to slide that into the rail. So see how the profile lines up with the rail track. Now this time, how are we looking? Yep, there we are. So that's set correctly now for that frame thickness. So that'll get screwed down nice and tight. So that's how we do an end clamp. Button them up nice and tight with a 6 mil Allen key. You can buy a bit that goes on the end of your screw gun. And then when we go between panels, same thing again, but we'll use the mid clamp. That'll clip into the rail. Bit of a pest, got to get the angles right. Oh, maybe I've picked the wrong brand. Yeah. There's a couple of different brands. They look similar, but the thicknesses are just slightly different. Now you can see that that will clamp down on that panel, and then that'll sit loose and wobbly until you get your next panel in there, and then you'll clamp that down nice and tight, and it'll grip both panels side by side. And then if this was the last panel here, then you would put an end clamp on there. So yeah, a bit of a rough video, but I hope it gives you an idea of how you would clamp the panels to the rails. Stuff's actually really good to use once you get the hang of it. And you want to space those rails roughly that distance apart. That's probably about 1 metre there. I haven't put a tape on it, but you want to get nice even thirds on the panel. So yeah, I normally aim for about 900 to 1 metre apart. Alrighty, happy days.